Okay, so pay attention over here. See, we need to discuss about the locators in depth over here. So up till now we have discussed that locators are something, or you can say that some reference points that would be used by Selenium in order to identify the objects. Okay, so these were the locators that we know. Now see, any web-based application which is built, okay, let us take the example of suppose say there is a Facebook login page, okay, in this there is a username text box, then there is a password text box, and then there is sign in button. Okay, so these all things, this text box, this password text box, this sign in button, and if there is a help which is provided, this help link is provided, or if you want to, if you are a new user, then you need to sign up also. Okay, so all those which are links, these text boxes or the buttons which are present, okay, so everything which is present under this web page, okay, so those all things are known as the objects. Okay, so everything which is present in a web-based application or in a web page, they are referred as objects. Okay, and every object, or you can say any web application, every web application, it is built on HTML. Okay, so it is built in HTML format. Okay, so these objects also, they must be built in the HTML format only. Okay, these objects, or you can say everything which is present over here, as in the button, the link, the text boxes, if there are some drop down boxes also present, so every object, it has to be built over here in the HTML format only. Okay, now can you just list down, or can you just tell me that what all are the different objects that you can see over in a web page? What are the different type of objects that you must have seen in a web page? Yes. Okay, text boxes. Text box names, okay. Drop down boxes, okay. Buttons, correct. Then check boxes, advertisement, okay. Advertisement links are provided. Images, correct, Hasna. Tasneem, modules, or rather you can say that there are certain frames which are present, right? Correct, Anuja, some radio buttons are also present. Okay, so in general, there are certain set of things that you all have seen which are present in the web page. Okay, so what are those things? Let me just write it down. So there are some text boxes which are present. Okay, there could be some list boxes, or you can also say them as the drop down. Okay, then after that there could be some links, there could be some buttons. Okay, there could be some radio buttons. Then there could be some check boxes, help button or any button. Like I'm not specifically using any name of the button, just a button. Okay. Okay, so some check boxes, then some labels, then there could be some images. Okay, or there could be some frames also. Okay, so in general terms or in general terminology, you are going to name it as the text boxes, list boxes, links, buttons, and whatsoever. Okay, but while creating these things, or you can say in HTML terminology, okay, so this was the journal way of saying the things, or in general terms, you name it as this. Okay, but if you use these things in HTML format, or you can say in HTML terminology, frame is like a type of Shankar, what you can say is your page is actually being divided into certain parts. Okay, one part would be into certain sections, you can say. Okay, in general terms. Okay, and those sections are known as frames also. Okay, we don't have to go into that much detail of the things. So, like Tasneem just told me, so that came up to my mind. Okay, because we are not going to develop the web page of any of the application. We just need to understand that how the web pages are made. Okay, so if they are being, the code is written by the developer, you should at least be able to understand that. Now, what all things you need to understand, that also I'll let you know. Now see, all the text boxes which are present, okay, so in HTML format, those text boxes would be present in, like they should be written over here like, and one more thing, see when you are using the HTML terminology, they are written with this, or you can say under these signs. Okay, so that is great, less than and greater than sign. Okay, so anything which is which you have to mention over here in HTML terminology, it has to be covered with the less than and the greater than sign. Okay, so for text boxes, it is like input, and then there could be a type equal to text. Okay, if there are certain drop down boxes, then they are written with the name as select, because you have to select from the drop down things. Okay, if there are certain links present, then they are given in HTML format as A. Okay, if there are certain buttons which are present, then they would be like input type equal to button. If there is a radio button, then it would be input type equal to radio. Okay, if there are check boxes, then it would be input type equal to checkbox. If there are certain labels which are present, then it would be given with the name of as span, or sometimes it is also represented with div. Okay, if there are some images, then with img. If there are some frames, then they are written with the name as frames only. Okay, and apart from these also there are some more things which are present in a web page. Okay, so we don't have to like actually know how the web pages are to be designed, but if there would be a button which is present, or if there is a link which is present, so it would be given the name as a or input type equal to button respectively. Okay, so these are some general terms, and according to those, what all things are used to represent these general terms in HTML format, which we have written down over here. Now see, all the test cases that you are going to execute, whether you are going to execute the test cases manually, whether you are going to execute the test cases by using some automation tool, you are always going to refer to the objects which are present. Suppose say like I told you to click to write down a test case for checking the sign-in functionality. So what you are doing over there? How are you going to write down that test case? If I ask you to write down the test case for sign-in functionality manually, so what are you going to write down over there in that test case? Yes, anyone? How are you going to check for the sign-in functionality? Okay, so your step one would be you are entering the username in the username text box. Okay, so just try to take this particular step only and understand via this step. So what you are doing? If I ask you to manually write down the things, okay, so if you are doing the things manually, let us try to divide it into some parts. Like what are you doing? Where are you doing that? And then after that, what is the input that you are going to give? Okay, so if you are entering the username in the username text box, so what are you doing? What are you doing? You are entering the username. So what is the thing that you are doing? You are entering the things. Correct. Where are you going to enter? You are going to enter in the username text box. Correct. And what is the input that you are going to give? Suppose say the input value is Vidya. Okay. And similarly, you are entering the password also. Okay, so what you are doing, you are entering, and where are you entering? In the password text box, and what is the input value? Suppose say some ABCD is the input value. Okay, and then after that, the third step would be you are clicking onto the login button. Okay, so what is the thing that you are doing? You are clicking. Okay, so the action that you are performing is click. Where are you clicking? You are clicking onto the sign in button. And are you giving any input value to that? No, there is no input value. So let us just leave this field blank. Okay, so while you are manually doing the things, you are able to figure out that you are doing these things. Okay, so wherein you have like segregated it into 3 portions. Now if you are using an automation tool, Selenium, if I ask you that you need to do these steps only, okay, so in automation tool, whatever things you are doing, they are named as commands, or they are put under the column name command. Where you would be doing it, that would be put under the column name as target. Okay, and the value that you are going to give into the text box or any of the links or whatsoever other things, okay, or on any of the check boxes, the input value that you are going to give, that is kept in the column name as value. Okay, so taking these steps only, again while automation. Okay, so under command would be enter. Under this target would be the username text box, because I have to enter in the username text box. But since Selenium does not have any eyes to identify the objects, so we discussed in the earlier session that it has to use certain locators. Do you remember that? So can Selenium find out the username text box by itself? No. Okay, so we need to give a locator over here. We need to give a locator for username text box. Now how to find out that locator, that also I'll tell you. But in the target you need to give the locator for the username text box. Okay, and in the value would be Vidya. Okay, similarly taking the second step that we have done manually. So what would be the command if you are clicking onto the sign in button? So under the command would be the click. Okay, so this is my command. Then what would be the target where I am going to click? I am going to click on the sign in button, but again over here, since Selenium is doing the thing, so it would need the locator for sign in button. Okay, and yes, there would be no value for that. Okay, so I guess now you would be somewhat clear, not exactly, but you would be somewhat clear that what should come over here in this particular field. What is this command? What is the target? What is the value that are asked over here? Okay, we need to discuss about the target yet, because up till now we have only discussed that it would be the locator for that particular field wherein you need to type the things or wherein you need to click onto the buttons. We need to discuss about it. But are you able to figure out that what is the command, what is the target, what should come under these columns? What should come under value, what should come under target, what should come under this command section? Yes? Okay then. Okay, so for understanding that how we have to find out the locator, we need to understand about the HTML tag more. Okay. So now understanding upon the HTML tag. So you need to follow certain syntax, or there is a syntax for the HTML tag, and we need to understand about this syntax only. Now what is the syntax? In general only I am telling you that what is the syntax. See, I told you that it would be coming up under the less than greater than symbol. So under that, the first thing that would be coming, or the whatever is the first thing written, that would be the HTML tag. Okay, after this symbol, what is the first thing that would be written would be your HTML tag. and the other things would be the attributes. Okay. For example, suppose say I'm describing about a car over here, okay, using this HTML format. Okay, now you tell me that what are the attributes in that and what are the HTML tag. What is the HTML tag which is present? Okay, so okay, so I have described some length, color, type over here. Okay, about a car. So can you compare this thing with the syntax for HTML and can tell me that what is the HTML tag over here? If you compare this example with the syntax for HTML that I have given over here, so what is the HTML tag? Okay, some of you have given right answers, but some of you are wrong somewhere. See, my HTML tag would be, see, I told you that whatever would be coming after this symbol, that first thing is the HTML tag, and after that are the attributes. So the first thing that is coming is the car, right? So my HTML tag is what? It is the car. Okay, and attributes are what? Attributes are the properties. In other words, you can say. Okay, so what are the attributes of the car over here, or what are the properties of the car? What are the properties of the car? Is SUV a property of the car? So matter, type, color, and length. Correct. See, these are my properties. The type is my property. Okay, color is the property, length is the property. But whatever like SUV, white, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, what all things I have feeded over here, these are actually the values. Okay, so the attributes are what? On which you have described, or on which you have, yes, you can say described only. So these are the some properties on which you are describing your car. Okay, so what are the attributes on which I am describing the car? I am describing it via type. We are describing it via color and length. Okay, and the value